This is the Aqara FP300, and I can tell you that personally I've been waiting for this type of device to come along for a very long time, and the main reason is, for the first time we are getting a real mmWave presence sensor that is battery operated. That in itself is a huge game changer, but this device has a lot of other tricks up its sleeve. Home Assistant users, this will be a Home Assistant first review. We will take a look at the device in the Aqara ecosystem very briefly, just as a comparison. We will very quickly move to Home Assistant, and ZHA users pay close attention. And you guys will see that together with all the features this device brings to the table, you will see that this device just might be the most functional and the most impactful device on the market to date. I kid you not. Let's get started. Alright guys, I just want to spend a minute talking about all the tricks this device has up its sleeve. It has several, and if you're planning on buying one of them, you should get to know them. I will also spend about 10 seconds unboxing this device just because I want you guys to see it. As I said, the flagship feature of this device is being a battery-powered mmWave sensor, but actually this device has two mechanisms of detecting, let's say, presence. It has the mmWave sensor, but it also has a PIR motion sensor, which is huge. Detecting motion is snappy, it's instant. Detecting motion has a delay of a second or two. So this is perfect for, let's say, automating lights turning on based on motion, which is instant, and then lights turning off based on lack of presence. A huge deal. I have several rooms in my house that I have a motion sensor for lights turning on and a separate presence sensor for lights turning off. This is huge. But actually, this device also includes a temperature sensor, a humidity sensor, and a light sensor all in this one package. And if I'll go back to my last sentence, in these rooms, I also have a temperature sensor in addition to a motion and presence sensor. So this device will actually replace all three of these devices. That's a huge deal. Also, moving on, this device can work either in Thread or on Zigbee. And Aqara promises 2 years of battery life on Thread and 3 years on Zigbee, which is absolutely amazing. Also, on Zigbee, this device also exposes a few additional kind of tweaks that you can play around with that are not exposed when using Matter or Thread, sorry. So if you are using Zigbee, switch the device to Zigbee. Here's where the device, or what the device doesn't have. Unlike previous Aqara presence sensor, I think like the FP2, this device does not do zoning. You cannot draw zones and have the device react to them. This feature is absent. Also, at least currently, the stock is pretty low on this device. I was just lucky enough to grab 2 of them from Amazon when they were in stock, but you should be prepared to wait a while until you can get a hold of this device. And just as a comparison, this is a Sonoff presence sensor. It's tiny, it's smaller than the Aqara one, as you will see, but it's not battery operated. You have to connect it to power, and it doesn't do anything but detecting presence. So if I'll switch over to opening the Aqara motion sensor, this is the device. You also get mounting hardware and a sticky tape and a magnet. And actually, that's it. That's the entire device. Here's, for example, the Sonoff one for comparison. Again, it may be a bit tinier, but it's potentially more of an eyesore because you can't hide it. You have to place it where you have an outlet. This can be placed completely out of sight and you wouldn't even know it's there. That's a huge deal. All right, guys, let's move to the Aqara ecosystem to see how it looks over there. And then we will very quickly move to Home Assistant. Let's go. All right, guys, so I have taken the device out of the box. I have pulled the tab that actually prevents the batteries from powering the device. So it is now powered on. And even if you're planning on using the device in Home Assistant and you don't even own an Aqara hub, your first stop has to be the Aqara app. The device will be discovered via Bluetooth and then we can interact with it, as I'll show you right now. So I will go into the Aqara app. At this point, the device should pop up being ready to be interacted with. If it doesn't, all you have to do is click on the plus button and add accessory. Searching via Bluetooth, the device is discovered via Bluetooth. Here it is, so let's tap on it. And it comes in Thread by default. If you want to switch it to Zigbee, you will be able to do it right here. So let's select Zigbee, click on Next, click on Switch. At this point, the device will download the firmware and transfer it to the sensor itself. So keep your phone close to the sensor itself, and it will take about a minute or two. I will of course pause the recording at this point and resume it once this step is complete. Alright, so the process is over, and since I do have an Aqara hub, the Aqara hub has automatically sort of grabbed the device and paired it into it. If you don't have an Aqara hub, that will not happen to you. You will at this point you can say goodbye to the Aqara app and go pair the device with your Home Assistant Zigbee coordinator. Since I have an Aqara hub, it grabbed it, and that's actually something that I wanted to do in order to show what the device looks like in the Aqara ecosystem, what are the settings we can play with, just as a comparison. So I will click on next. That will be the presence sensor card, the temperature sensor card, and the humidity, the light sensor, and we're done. So this is what the device page in the Aqara ecosystem looks like, and we can see that it reports the presence, it reports the light levels, the temperature, and the humidity, but that's not the interesting part. The interesting part is if we go to the device settings, we can, for example, set how do we want to detect presence with a dual infrared and, with a PIR motion sensor and presence sensor combined, only mmWave or only PIR motion sensor. Of course, the recommended option is to use both of them. So that's one option. Of course, we can set the sensitivity. We'll stick with medium for now. Of course, your mileage may vary. No presence detection cycle, meaning in plain English, how much time after no presence is detected by the device will it report actually absence in presence. 10 seconds is the default. It might be too short for you, so you can extend it even further. We will not worry about it right now. Another interesting feature of the device, if we scroll a bit down, if you're not planning on using, for example, the light sensor on this device, you can go into sensor settings, and in the light detection, you can turn it off. The main benefit here is you conserve a little more battery power because it doesn't need to track light levels, which is great. I'm not going to worry about it right now, but you can turn off the light sensor, you can turn off the temperature and humidity sensor, and you instantly gain more battery life. Again, a great piece of engineering from Aqara. On-site configuration, let's see what this is all about. Detection range, we can of course limit, or maybe if we know that there's certain zones with interference, we can stop the device from detecting motion in certain distances. For my specific use case, I don't see me actually using this feature, but I can see how it can be useful in some cases. So for example, right now, if I will be detected between 3 or 4 meters, it will still be considered as absence of presence. AI spatial learning is something that is a new feature from Aqara. The device will actually start learning the room, and it's supposed to make it more and more accurate over time. I will not start the learning right now because we will, in a second or two, switch over to Home Assistant, but that's again a nice feature. And we can restart the device. I don't have the need to, but that's actually a useful feature. These are actually all the settings we can play with the device. I just wanted you to see them because we will see their equivalents in Home Assistant. So what I will do right now, I will factory reset the device and remove it from the Aqara hub, and then we will switch over to Home Assistant and try to pair it there. Alright guys, so I removed the device from the Aqara hub, and I have factory reset the device, so it's ready to be paired in Home Assistant. If you're using Zigbee to MQTT, you're just fine. You can go ahead and pair the device, and it will have everything. It will expose everything, all the settings we've seen in the Aqara hub, including the AI spatial learning. You're just fine. If you're using ZHA, there's a bit of a problem here because at least currently, ZHA natively does not support this device, and you will see that when I try to pair the device to Home Assistant via ZHA, and it looks like it's being paired just fine. Name it whatever you see fit. Go back, but if we enter the device page, we will see that, we're only getting humidity, illuminance, and temperature. Where are all the presence detection features like the presence and the PIR sensor? They're absent. And that's because currently ZHA does not natively support the device. Luckily, we can use ZHA quirks, which is a topic on its own, and there's already a quirk to fix it. I will of course give credit to the guy who created it. I don't have his name. I will link to his website. I will link to the quirk itself. I think that I can equivalent that is in ZHA quirks being community created drivers you can inject into the operating system, and this guy has done an amazing job. So how do we go about enabling and using the ZHA quirks? Again, it's a topic on its own. If you want to see a separate video about it, let me know in the comments below. For now, let's start working. The first thing you need to do is to go into your Home Assistant and make sure you have Samba Share configured and already enabled, because we will need it. Moving on, this is the link to the website from which you can download the quirk itself, and even the guy has already created a sort of a guide on how to enable and use quirks. I will of course put a link to this website in the description of this video, and this is the download link to the quirk itself, so go ahead and download it. I already did, but that's where you'll download the quirk itself. Again, be cautious. Before you start fiddling with Home Assistant, take a backup, because we're actually getting into the inside of Home Assistant. What you need to do right now is to go to your downloaded folder and of course extract the zip file. And this is the file we're interested in. All right, in a second tab, open your Home Assistant share, go into your config folder and create a folder if you don't have one already. You can name it whatever you want. I used custom ZHA quirks just because I've seen the same name in every guide on ZHA quirks. Create a folder and copy the newly downloaded quirk into it. I've already, of course, done it, and I've now copied the quirk itself. In order to enable quirks, you need to close out of here. Currently, Home Assistant doesn't know what to do with these files. You need to go into your Home Assistant, into your configuration.yaml file, and in your configuration.yaml file, you will need to add this entry, ZHA : custom quirks : and the name of the folder. In the guide, there's also, I will of course copy it into the description of this video, and on the website of the guy that created the quirk, there's also a guide. You can just copy and paste it into your configuration.yaml. At this point, you need to restart your Home Assistant just for good measure. Since I added a new file into it, let's go ahead and restart Home Assistant. I will pause the recording right here and resume it once Home Assistant is back up. All right, Home Assistant is back up. The device, the FP300, is back online. So let's go back into Devices and ZHA. And now that we have the quirk going, let's try to repair the FP300. All right, the pairing is complete. It already looks like a lot busier, but let's go back. And now let's go into the device page. And now we can see we have the presence sensor. We have all the options, including the AI spatial learning and sensitivity. And you remember the slider that we could remove detection from certain ranges. We have it right here. We have basically all the options we saw in the Aqara ecosystem. It's just in a ZHA language, so it's less, let's say, user-friendly. But we have everything, and that's just great. Another caveat that you need to be aware of, usually by default, the PIR detection attribute right here will be disabled. So go ahead and enable it. For me, it's enabled because I already did it in my testing. Enable it, and then we'll have the whole package, the presence sensing and the PIR motion sensing. Everything will be just there. And now all we have to do is to actually create an automation that takes advantage of both the PIR motion sensor and the presence sensor. So let's go ahead and do that just as a demonstration. Let's go into settings, automations, create an automation, and the new one. Now remember, we want the light to turn on motion and to turn on in lack of absence. So let's go ahead and try to recreate that. So select the trigger, select device, let's search for the FP300, here it is. So the first trigger will be presence became not occupied. That's great. Let me put an ID here. Let's say presence off. All right, let's select another trigger from the same device. And now we want the PIR motion sensing. So let's search for that. Here it is, PIR detection started detecting motion. That's great. Let's give it an ID. Motion on. All right. So now let's go to the action. And of course, I'm oversimplifying it. Let's select then do. We'll need a building block of choose. Option 1, condition will be triggered by motion on, and the action will be light to turn on. And I will select this light entity just as an example. We're adding another option, condition triggered by presence off, and we'll select the action of light to turn off, and we'll select the same target. And so now when motion is detected, lights will turn on, and when presence is absent, meaning no presence, the light will turn off. Alright guys, so you know what, let's even put my automation and the device to the test. I have taken the device and I have placed it right here on the edge of the table. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. We will be able to see it very plain and simple. As I'm walking into the living room, the sensor identifies me and lights indeed turn on, which is great. And once I leave the living room, it takes a few seconds, lack of absence is happening, and the lights will turn off, which is great. This is what we aimed for. Alright guys, so this was my review of the FP300. I think it's genuinely a game-changing device. I think it brings a lot of potential, a lot of possibilities. If you like this video, please give it a like, and of course subscribe, and I will see you all in my next video. Take care, guys.